Hey guys, welcome to episode 32 of Talk Wrestling here on the World Wide Web. You're watching us on NoDQ.com or MySpace or YouTube. First, I have a couple things to address before I get started on your questions. First of all, any website-related questions as far as the NoDQ.com side of things is concerned should not go to me. I don't own NoDQ.com. I've never owned NoDQ.com. I've only been a host or talent-related individual. NoDQ.com questions should go to myspace.com/AaronRift, AARONRIFT. He's the owner, he's the webmaster, he's the man behind the camera every week that you see, or you don't see. Aha. You've seen him on XMV before if you watched XMV back in the day, especially getting thrown over China's couch. That was it. That was the highlight of Aaron's career. Anyway, all NoDQ.com questions should go to him. He'll be able to answer whatever you have. Okay? Secondly, I'm going to start a new segment on the show. It's called the Question of the Week. Every week I want to read one question from you people that just makes me have a migraine at the end of the show. Just because it's that stupid and that, like, wow, really, did you actually ask that question? And I've got a juicy one today. So, don't worry, we'll get to it. And let's get to your questions right now. Adam Lamberts says his all-time favorite match was Shawn Michaels versus Bret Hart at WrestleMania 12 and wants to know what all my all-time favorite matches. You know, there's been so many matches in the last 18, 19 years I've been watching wrestling. My favorite live match, and Aaron will attest to this, was America's Most Wanted versus Triple X back at Turning Point 2004, 6 Sides of Steel. If for no other reason than the infamous tightrope walk of Elix Skipper into a Hurricane Rana on, I believe it was James Storm off the top rope. I don't remember which AMW member it was, but that whole match captivated me. Completely had me enthralled the entire time, and didn't hurt the SoCal Val was grabbing onto my arm the whole time. That was kind of cool too. I'm kidding. Wasn't about Val. She is hot, but it wasn't about Val. It was about the match, and the match was great. The best match I ever saw on pay-per-view or on live TV would probably have to be the original Hell in a Cell match between Shawn Michaels and The Undertaker. That was great storytelling at its best. Again, captivating the audience, sucking them in, just wondering what the hell is going to happen next, that type of thing. And both of them were at their best there. Just great stuff. This is from Jason Goodall. Who's made the biggest impact in wrestling? And he mentions he thinks it's Hogan, but the best technical athlete that's been around is Bret Hart. Well, you're asking me biggest impact, not technical ability. If you want to talk about technical ability, you got Bret Hart, you got Owen Hart, you got Chris Benoit, you got Ric Flair, you got all those guys. But the biggest impact in wrestling really depends who you ask. You know, a lot of people say Hulk Hogan, because of what he did for the industry in the 80s and the 90s. You've got Stone Cold Steve Austin, who made a huge impact in the late 90s and the early part of the 2000s. So it could be either one of those two, or The Rock. You know, he made a tremendous impact on the business during his time with WWF and WWE. If I had to pick just one, I have to say Hogan, because he's the one that really brought wrestling into the mainstream and really transcended the business and made the business what it was, and basically was responsible for a show like this to be around and a show like WrestleMania to have happened and that type of thing. So I'd say Hulk Hogan. This one's from SlimJim11 at Comcast.net. Should TNA hire Raven as a booker? I know he has a great mind for the business, and I think that he would. I think he'd be a tremendous booker for TNA or for WWE for that matter. He'd be a great creative writer for Vince. I don't see why TNA let him go. Raven has one of the most innovative and creative minds I've ever witnessed in this business, and many guys that worked with ECW will attest to that. Raven was just so intelligent, and it still is, regarding this industry, and he would be an asset to whatever company he worked for, as a booker, as a writer, whatever you want to call him. He's still a great in-ring talent. He's just, you know, he's getting old. You know, as the wrestlers do, they get old. It happens. But I think that I think he'd be a tremendous talent as a booker, creative writer, whatever you want to call him. Definitely. It's from Darkened Mists at AOL.com. Why do you think the stars of yesteryear are bitter or upset over the business that created them? You know, it's really hard to say. You see guys like, you know, he mentions Hogan and Warrior. I don't see Hogan really being bitter about the business at this point. I think Hogan is, you know, very well off as a result of the business, and he embraces it quite frequently. You know, all these comebacks he makes to WWE and everything. But a guy like the Warrior seems very bitter about the business, and loves to complain, loves to bitch about, you know, the state of the business and the state of wrestling in general. And you know, you see guys do these shoot interviews with the RF Video or other shoot video companies all the time now, and they just complain and complain and complain. And it's like, you know what? You guys are the ones that didn't save your money. You guys are the ones that didn't, you know, that blew all your money on drugs and alcohol in the 80s when you guys were in your heyday. You guys are the ones that, you know, really fucked up. You know, you read a book like Ted DiBiase's book, which I just finished. It's very, very good, by the way. Go pick it up at your bookstore. Ted DiBiase's book is very well written. He talks about, you know, he had it all, and he let his excesses in the late 80s and early 90s get the better of him, almost cost him his wife and his children. And, you know, he had to repent and, you know, find God again. And, you know, I think that if a lot of these guys found that something to believe in, whether it's God or some other vocation in life, they'd be much better off psychologically and wouldn't be so bitter about the business that, like you said, email, that created them. So, just something to think about. This is from Mike Boyd. Who from today's wrestling will be inducted in the Hall of Fame in 20 years? Guys like John Cena, Batista, MVP, I think, will be in the Hall of Fame. Mr. Kennedy will be in the Hall of Fame. Lita and Trish Stratus, they're not in today's wrestling, but they were around recently. They'll be in the Hall of Fame. The next women inductees, so to speak. Not so to speak, they're the next women inductees. People like Million Dollar Man Ted DiBiase should be in the Hall of Fame in the next 20 years, if not way sooner. Mentioned this in a few shows ago. Ricky the Dragon Steamboat should be in the Hall of Fame in the next 20 years. Way sooner than that, but you never know with WWE. Pretty much anybody that has a big name talent. Stone Cold Steve Austin, The Rock. You know, just we're waiting for all these big names. Undertaker will be inducted. Shawn Michaels will be inducted. Triple H will be inducted. You know, those guys will be definitely inducted in the Hall of Fame. If they're not, there's something seriously wrong. They definitely deserve it. It's from Josh Rose. If you could pick any legend to return for one last run or one last match, who would you pick and why? Well, you know, the obvious answer for me, of course, is Hulk Hogan. I'd love to see him have one more run, but he had his run. He had his comeback run in 2002 and 2003, and even in 2005. Ric Flair had his last run recently at the early part of this year and later part of last year. If he was in ring shape and ready to go, either one of them, I'd pick either Bret Hart or the Macho Man Randy Savage. I'd love to see either one of those guys come back and have one last big run. Not necessarily hold the championship again, but just have a decent run and, you know, be in the spotlight again. Both of them were great. Both of them were tremendous athletes in their time, and both of them made a huge impact on me and my status as a wrestling fan. So I'd love to see either one of them make a comeback at least for one more match. Ryan, I guess Holen, H-O-L-E-N. Sorry if I mispronounced your name, Ryan. Could Ring of Honor compete with WWE and TNA if they had a national TV deal? I believe they could. They have a great niche market there in the Northeast, but I think with the right TV exposure, they could be a tremendous threat to both WWE and TNA. And now with their somewhat steady partnership with the National Wrestling Alliance, they could get the NWA back in the mainstream again after TNA split with them last year. I mean, you had Brett Albright winning the NWA Championship on a Ring of Honor show. Doesn't get any more prolific than that for the Ring of Honor or for the NWA. So it could very well happen if they had a national TV deal. I think it'd be very exciting for the wrestling industry if they had a national TV deal. Pedro Vargas wants to know why Bruno Sammartino isn't in the WWE Hall of Fame. Reason for that is Bruno and Vince McMahon had a falling out during the 80s, and Bruno has been very outspoken ever since about the state of WWE and their steroids or the drug use or whatever has been going on in WWE for the last 20 years. And Bruno has made it very clear that he wants no part of the World Wrestling Entertainment Company, and as a result of that, he won't get inducted in the Hall of Fame. The Hall of Fame is a very political organization, despite what the other Hall of Fames in the wrestling will show you. The WWE Hall of Fame is very politically driven, and they pick their own people. It's not like they're voted in like the other Hall of Fames. WWE just picks them off. So I doubt we'll ever see Bruno unless there's a huge change in the winds, so to speak. Alright, it's time for the question of the week. I'm reading his name off because I'm that much of a dickhead. Steve Heredia, Mr. Steve O, as he said on Yahoo Mail. This is his question, verbatim. This is exactly how he wrote it. Do you think the death of Owen Hart had to do with Vince screwing Brett, considering that he didn't want any Hart remaining in WWE at the time? And if so, do you think that it was accidental like the way it was made out to be? Oh my God. Oh my God. Are you actually accusing Vince McMahon of murder? Are you actually accusing the Kemper City Riggers of murder? Holy crap. No, it was an accident. It had nothing to do with the Brett screwed Brett or the Vince screwed Brett scenario. Nothing. It was a terrible tragedy that happened to the Hart family and to the WWF family back in '99 when it was still the WWF. It was a horrible thing to have happened. There is no way in anybody's conceivable mind, except yours, P-Brain, that it was anything but an accident. Oh my God. How can you even suggest that they would purposely kill a member of the Hart family to get to Brett? That's terrible. It does happen in the wrestling business. Believe me, I know. Friends get attacked, friends get hurt. But holy crap, murder? By Vince McMahon and his company? Ah! Go away, simple little man. Jamie Grandisane, what do you think of CZW and their feud with Ring of Honor? I've never actually seen CZW. I've read about them in PWI. I've read about them in on the internet, and they seem like they're a pretty interesting organization. They kind of followed in the hardcore footsteps of ECW and kind of stepped it up a notch in terms of the ultra-violence. Their feud with Ring of Honor definitely helped to establish them as a credible fed, because Ring of Honor was and is the top indie fed in the country right now. So, you know, to see two companies on the East Coast feud over their territory was very innovative for indie wrestling. You saw that in WWE, WCW, and the Monday Night Wars. We really didn't see it in the indie circuit too much, and now and then you did between these two companies, and it was really well written, very well done from what I read. And you know, I'd love to see tapes. I'd love to see videos of it. That'd be cool to see how the feud progressed and how the feud developed originally and that type of thing. All the people that jumped over back and forth and that type of thing. It'd be cool to see. That's it for Talk Wrestling this week. You know what? I'm not even going to have a question next week. I'm still going to have a headache from this one. I guarantee it. So no question next week. Just stay tuned for the next show, and we'll see you next time.